Welcome to the inaugural issue of the Elementary Curriculum Corner newsletter. I'm Pam Franklin, a math specialist in the curriculum department, and I, along with Angie Abernathy, will be providing monthly information on manipulatives. So today we're going to start with a video on base 10 blocks. As some of you know from PLCs and at your schools or district PDs that you've attended, one of our goals for this year in math is to develop some common language within the grades in your school as well as among the schools throughout the district. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get started. Many of you have seen these. These, of course, are base 10 blocks, and there's different names that we can use to refer to the different pieces, but in an effort to use a common language, we are going to consistently refer to this piece as a unit, this piece as a rod, and this piece as a flat. And the reason we want to make sure that we do refer to the pieces as unit, rod, and flat is because as they're used progressively throughout the grades, they may take on different values. Right now, most of us will probably be using these in our classes to model addition and subtraction, where the unit takes on the value of 1, the rod takes on the value of 10, and of course the flat takes on the value of 100. But there would be some cases where you might want to use these for different representations. For example, in 4th grade, when students are exploring decimal fractions, this could be used to represent 1/100th. And then that would mean that, and it would take 10 of those to make this, which would be 1/10. And it would take 10 of these to make this, which will be 1. Again, so for 4th grade, this might represent 1. This would represent 1/10, and this would represent 1/100th. Also, even once the student might progress to 8th grade or Algebra 1, this could be used to represent 1. The rod could be used to represent the value x, and then the flat could be used to represent x squared. So again, those are just 3 cases right there that I've shown you where these could take on 3 different values. So we want to make sure that the pieces have names that are consistent across the grades. Okay, so we're going to begin by modeling a 3-digit subtraction problem with regrouping, and I do want to emphasize with regrouping rather than saying with borrowing. We want to move away from using the word borrow because borrow implies that something is going to be returned later. When we say regrouping or trading or swapping, that sends the message that we are going to exchange values at the same time. So the problem that we're going to do is 245 minus 137. Again, I want to emphasize even how that number is read, 245. Notice you don't hear the word and spoken, which is really hard sometimes not to say that, but we want to avoid using the word and when we're referring to whole numbers. If I were to say 245 hundredths, of course that would bring this number to mind, 245 hundredths. So again, let's refrain from using the word and when we are reading or having students recite a whole number. So back to the subtraction problem. 245 minus 137. So we're going to begin with our place value mat, which we always want to use as we're beginning to develop the conceptual understanding of subtraction with regrouping. And I'm going to place the base 10 blocks according to their place value on the mat. So 245, of course, has 2 hundreds right there, 4 tens, and 5 ones. 245. And I'm going to scoop this up just a bit because I'm actually going to use this place value mat, which is a piece of paper, to record everything that happens. So there we have 245. So I'm going to write the appropriate digits in their place. 2 hundreds, 4 tens, and 5 ones. Now the problem is that we're going to subtract, and the number that we're going to take away from 245 is 137. So I'm going to color code this just to keep the students focused on the number that I want them to stay focused on. In fact, I'm going to go one step further and I'm going to put a long rectangle around this number 245 so again, that we can stay focused on that number that's modeled right now on our mat. So of course the issue here is that when we get ready to subtract, if they've done this modeling with when regrouping was not required, we start here with our ones and we notice that I can't take away 7 ones because I only have 5 ones to begin with. So this is where we want to emphasize the idea of the regrouping, trading, or swapping. This rod, which is worth 10, of course, could be broken or exchanged for 10 ones. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that off my mat and I'm going to replace it with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 ones. And once you model this for students, make sure that you record what just happened. What happened is I took 1 10 off of my mat, so I no longer have 4 10s, I have 3 10s. And because I replaced those 10 over here, I don't have 5 ones anymore, I have 15. So now we should be ready, at least with the ones, to go ahead and to begin modeling the subtraction. So I have 15 ones here and I want to take away 7 ones. 2, 4, 6, 7 are going to be removed from the mat. All I have left to do now is count the remaining ones. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to record that I have 8 ones remaining. So I move over here to my tens column. I still have my 3 10s. I want to take away 3 10s, so I'm going to remove those from my mat. And how many 10s are left there? Of course, there are none left, and it's important that students know this 0 must be put there to communicate the place value of the 10s, that there are no 10s in fact. Finally, in the hundreds column, we have 2 flats on the mat, 2 hundreds. We want to take away 100. I'm going to remove that 100, and I am left with 100. So that way we've just modeled that 245 minus 137 equals 108. And that matches, of course, the picture that's left: 100, 0 10s, and 8 ones.